I learned all the fundamentals of public speaking, how to pause, how to use tonality, how to use your pitch, all that jazz. But when it came to actually planning a speech, I didn't have a clue where to start. And today I finished a speech in a matter of 2 hours. I wrote it from scratch, didn't have any plan, and within 2 hours, a 25-minute speech was completely done. So in this video, I'm going to go through the exact process so you know how to plan a speech, you know how to start, and you know exactly what to do step by step. I don't have it with me, obviously, in the car, but it's at home. And if you want that poster as well, I'm going to show you a preview of it. Link below, completely free. I will send that across to support you with making your presentation. So what do you need to know first? Well, you need to know who you are speaking to, because if you don't know who you are speaking to, it's going to be very hard to pick your language. It's going to be very hard to pick your story, and it's going to be very hard to shape your speech. So no matter what the setting, you need to put the audience first. If it is a presentation setting, you need to understand the common theme within that room. Why are they putting their bums on those seats? Why are they listening to you? What unites that audience together? Are they all there to learn about the marketing strategy you have? Or are they all there to learn about how you're going to save them money with going with a different supplier? Or are you pitching an idea? You need to establish that before you do anything, before you start writing a speech, before you start thinking of stories. Understand why the audience is there. If it's in a conversation, it could be slightly different. Are you trying to educate someone? Are you trying to persuade someone? Are you trying to entertain someone? But establish that bit first. So many people start doing a PowerPoint first, but they haven't established why the audience is there in the first place. They're just trying to sell their idea. Before you do anything, it's all about the audience, not you. First step, that is it. What unites the audience together? Moving on to the next step, and it's the purpose of you speaking. Because you don't just speak for the sake of speaking. You want to establish what you want out of your speech. What do you want them to think, feel, or do? Ooh, crap, there's a car. Is this car coming? Come on, what are you playing at? But you got to say thank you. Thank you, mate. What do you want them to think, feel, or do after listening to you? That is your main objective of your speech. That should be one sentence. It should be very simple. If there is 10 things that you want the audience to do after listening to you, they are not going to remember 10 things. You think this is going to be new material to them. You're going to talk about new things. And if they've got to remember 10 things when they walk out that door, it's not going to happen and your speech won't be successful. The best speeches is where you can say less. It might sound counterintuitive, but it's where they have a clear picture and idea what their next step is. Because then when they walk out the door, they know what to do. And it's that simple. What do you want them to think, feel, or do after listening to you? With the speech that I'm currently writing, it's all about building your resilience, but how your resilience can influence everyone else on your team. So my action that I want them to do after is pick some non-negotiables that they have to do on a day-to-day basis to improve their resilience. Because whilst they do that, not only will it improve their resilience, it will also influence their team because you are a product of your environment. But it all starts from what is the core thing that I want them to think, feel, or do after they leave the room, after listening to me. And it is pick a small daily task that they can do and it becomes a non-negotiable in their life. It could be going to the gym every day. It could be eating healthy meals and having their desserts after. You can't have a dessert until you eat your main meal. Or it could be something simple as asking people how their day is or following up with customers after they bought something from your business to create a better customer service reputation and reviews and testimonials. So you've got the audience, what unites them together, then you've got the purpose, why you are speaking, the problem you are solving, the objective you're trying to achieve from listening to you. And once you've got that, and only once you've got that, you can then move on to the next steps of creating your speech, creating your presentation, your pitch, your meeting, whatever you're trying to do. But you want to think of a memory device, because if you are walking past a field and you see 100 sheep, and all those sheep had the same colour fur, none of those sheep are going to stand out. But if there's one sheep in that field that has black fur, that is going to stand out. That is why people say the black sheep of the family, because I'm the black sheep of the family. I go against the grain. But if you can be the black sheep with your presentation, you're going to stand out. And the way you're going to do that is by having a memory device. something they can attach to your speech, because people remember emotions more than they remember things. So when someone says, is this road blocked? The police is, are you taking a living mick? Oh, why are they doing this? It's gonna put some time onto my journey. I should have gone the other way. Bloody fuming. I'm trying to get to the gym. But like I was saying, people remember emotion. So when someone goes, what did Johnny talk about today? Or what did staff talk about today? They will remember the emotions first and the message will come later. With that being said, what options can you use to create some sort of memory device within your speech? Well, you can have a story. A story does reveal a lot of emotion. You can pick as you please. I like using stories first and then backing them up with analogies or activities, because you draw more emotion out with the story and then you back it up with logic after, which is what the activity is and the analogy is. I want to film this, but I've already got 6 points on my license. So I don't really want to get the camera out like this because I'll probably get another 6 points, and it's highway police. So they will definitely find me and definitely give me my points. But that is the memory device section. Now, attached to that memory device, you want to try and find an impact phrase. And what an impact phrase is a short slogan attached to your memory device which will help them think, feel, or do a certain thing after listening to you. So it's all directed to the same point, the objective of your speech, why you're speaking in the first place. For example, so what I have is my memory device, which is a story. I then back it up with an analogy, which is my moldy orange theory, which I'm going to get onto in this video just after this. And then I have my impact phrase. My impact phrase is small things, big difference. That is the impact phrase. I talk about my head injury, how the small things made a massive difference within my recovery. I then go on to how they need to do small things in their life to make a massive difference in their life. I relate it back to them. What non-negotiables are they going to set? I then use the analogy after. So I've used emotion with my head injury. The impact phrase within that is small things, big difference. And if they don't do the small things on a daily basis, it will influence their team. So by not doing the small things, they will influence their team in the wrong way, which is where the orange theory comes in. I get one moldy orange and I put it in a bowl with 8 perfectly fine oranges. Every single morning, I take a picture of that bowl to see how the mold has spread and infected and influenced the rest of the oranges. It took, well, actually, I'm on day 10 right now. Every orange except one is full of mold. And that analogy is to prove you are a product of your environment. So if you bring a bad energy, a bad attitude, and a bad mindset into the workplace and into your environment, it's only going to spread onto your colleagues and your team. And yes, it might not happen in a day, it might not happen in a week, it might not even happen in a month, but over the years, it will start to influence and infect the rest of the people in the environment. So I've got the memory device, I've used 2 in particular, and I've got the impact phrase, small things, big difference. So when they walk out that door, they know the small things make a big difference in their life. So they need to set some non-negotiables in order to influence their team in the right way. That is how you do a speech, but how do you actually write it? Because although you've got the memory device and although you've got the impact phrases, you know who you're speaking to and why you're speaking in the first place, there is a way to write it so you don't waste time. And if you want more information about this structure, remember, link below for that free poster. I will send you 11 emails alongside that to support you in the process. Write the memory device first. Now, if you've got 2 memory devices, just write them. Don't think about linking them at first. Just write the story, write the analogy. And then once you've got those 2 components, you can establish where you want them in your speech. Do you want them at the start? Do you want them at the end? Because this is when you're going to work on your opening and you're going to work on your conclusion. And then once you've done that, you can work on linking every part together. I don't worry about linking story number 1 with analogy number 1 straight away. I just think about the main contents of the speech, and then I think about how can I link these 2 sections together. Me personally, I like opening with action. So I've opened straight into a little mini story. Like I said, how can you be a black sheep when you are giving a presentation? If you're the same as everyone else, you're just gonna have that boring ass presentation that no one cares about and no one's going to remember. You need them to walk out that door with your purpose in mind, with your objective, with the thing that you want them to think, feel, or do after listening to you. That is so imperative when it comes to speaking, and I think people get carried away when it comes to public speaking. You have one job and one job alone, and that's to get them to do something after you've spoke. If they don't act upon what you've said, your speech is pointless, which is why when people go, "Oh, how did your speech go, Swayno?" Did you do well? Well, I think my performance did well, but I don't know how effective the speech is yet until a couple of weeks later. Because the success of a speech is all down to how the audience reacts after the speech. You want your words in their head long after they've left. You want to be living in their head rent-free, which is why I purposely have structured this like I have. Memory devices. Make sure you've got the memory device, and impact phrases. Impact phrases are so key. Just like Nike. What's Nike's impact phrase? Just do it. What's McDonald's impact phrase? I'm loving it. What's Craig Valentine's impact phrase? You probably don't know who Craig Valentine is, but he's a world champion public speaker who has personally taught me, and I highly recommend going and checking out some of his stuff. But he has so many impact phrases, well, he calls them foundational phrases, but I got that from him, because you don't want to be rememberable, you want to be repeatable, and the way you become repeatable is by having these impact phrases. And that impact phrase that I've just used is from Craig Valentine himself. But because I've paid him, it's all right, I can nick it. If I hadn't paid for his stuff, I couldn't nick it. But because I have, it's acceptable. But here's the next step that people don't always do. When you write it, you then have to read it and check that it works. For example, you might write something and you're like, I don't like that. I'd rather say it like this. Or, it sounds good on paper, but when I'm speaking it, the message doesn't flow. The sentences don't gel together. And that's completely fine. You can read it and see if you want to edit any of the speech. I do that in real time. As I'm going through the story, I will read it out loud to see, would I say it like this? When would I lower my pitch? When would I lower my volume? When would I lower my pause? And this gets on to the next step, which is planning your foundations. As you go through the speech, you can plan strategically where you want to pause, where you want to lower your pitch, where you want to move on stage. And the greats look so good on stage and look so natural because they've done it so many times, it looks natural, but really, they've planned it. They've planned when they're going to pause. They've planned when they're going to lower their pitch and go a little bit lower. Or they've planned when they're going to act sad and upset. Everything they do is planned, which means the more you can rehearse your speech, the better you are going to be when it comes to giving your presentation at work, especially if there's some high stakes involved. If money is on the line or your job is on the line, you should be rehearsing that shit, because then you will see what you like within the speech and what you don't, and you can edit it out and change it as you please. And that is how I've been able to create this speech in a matter of 2 hours, which is a 25-minute speech, whereas before, it would literally take me 2 weeks because I wouldn't know where to start, I wouldn't know how to open, I wouldn't know how to close, I wouldn't know how to make this memorable, and I wouldn't know how to make this worth listening to for the audience. Which is why the most important thing that you are going to do when creating any sort of speech is making it about them and not about you. If you remember one thing and one thing alone, that is the most important thing when it comes to creating presentations. Make everything about them, not about you. Which means pick language that suits their wants and needs. Pick stories that they can relate to, and structure the speech in a way that is entertaining for them. And like I said, there's a link below. That poster will go through the main stages I've just gone through in this video. But not only that, it will give you 11 emails to accompany you whilst creating your presentation. Honestly, if I had this when I first started, I wouldn't have to waste 3 years of my life figuring out how to do a public speech, because it's all right being able to pause, being able to pitch, being able to use your tonality. That's great, but if you don't know what to fucking say, what's the bloody point? There isn't. If you don't know how to structure a speech or a presentation, what is the point in learning those fundamentals? It's just like you could have great foundations, but if you freeze when you have a conversation, who cares? That's why communication skills isn't just the fundamentals. It's being able to structure things in the right manner for the people listening, so they walk out that room with a message in mind. So you can get a complex topic. You can get it as complex as you want, but you can simplify it so even a baby could understand. That's what great speakers do. They make more into less, so anyone can understand what they are talking about. And that is it for this video. I'm gonna go back home after I've done the gym and I'm gonna practice that speech. I may even edit it a bit more if I want to, but I'm gonna practice out loud to help me with the process. I always do this. I get to the end of the video and I forgot what my last video is to upsell. So you can get more benefit. Upsell. I say upsell, it's free. Oh, it started raining now, but although creating a presentation is very important. You obviously want to connect. Now, what I said earlier about understanding why your audience is there and why they're putting their bums on those seats and what unites them together is very important. But there is this one very subtle technique that can make all the difference when connecting. And if you want to connect so easily it feels illegal, you should probably check this video out. Anyway, I'm off to go get hench. Bosh!